Hello everyone, my name is Elijah David, minister of the 12th Hour Apostolic Sabbatarian Congregation, Mount Zion, the 12th Hour in Liberty Hill, Texas. Today is August 3, 2013, or it is the 27th day of Ab 2017. We will start our first service on this Sabbath day with a song that I have written entitled, Christian Soldiers Don't Retire. Master, the way of life that I prefer over trouble and strife. I would rather be a soldier and give the battle a cry. I would rather join Yah's army, brave the storm and face the fire, and have Yah as my captain, for Christian soldiers don't retire. Christian soldiers don't retire, for they're baptized in the fire. They are burnt up from the burning with the Pentecostal power. They are commissioned by the gospel, by new name they are called, to go forward into battle to gain victory for all. Living for Yah and doing His will, help spread the gospel and fulfill all things contained in Scripture. If in your heart the Spirit will, you can start with the beginning, trace it on down to the end. For the Spirit is given to help you live His word to comprehend. Serving Yah in all His ways fills one life with joy and praise. You can walk the straight and narrow as His word you obey. You can climb the highest mountain, brave the storm and face the fire. Just as long as Yah has raised you, Christian soldiers don't retire. Christian soldiers don't retire, for they're baptized in the fire. They are burnt up from the burning with the Pentecostal power. They are commissioned by the gospel, by a new name they are called, to go forward into battle to gain victory for all. Taking up the Christian walk fills one heart with intense desire. For there may be people waiting to be baptized in the fire. They're waiting in the nations and the isle oh so far. And for the time is marching on, Christian soldiers don't retire. Serving Yah in His great army, there is no retirement plan. For those who have life eternal, they are looking to the land. They'll ride upon the highways that will reach up to the stars. For the soldiers in Yah's army were Christian soldiers don't retire. Christian soldiers don't retire, for they're baptized in the fire. They are burnt up from the burning with the Pentecostal power. They are commissioned by the gospel, by a new name they are called, to go forward into battle to gain victory for all. Hello everyone, once again this is Elijah David. We're going to have a new study today entitled Lucifer, Fallen Angel, Satan. Okay, it says in Isaiah 14:12, How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down unto the ground, which did weaken the nations? Okay. Now, we know that Lucifer was the one that was the covering cherub in heaven. He walked up and down the midst of the stones of fire. And anyway, he was perfect until iniquity was found in him. And we can go and read about that in Ezekiel 28, and we might just do that right now. He's also known as the Prince of Tyrus, Lucifer. So it says that in Ezekiel 28, start with verse 1, the word of the Yahweh came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the Prince of Tyrus. Now this is talking about the last days. Ezekiel's prophecy is strictly for the 12th parabolic hour that we're in now. It says, Son of man, say unto the Prince of Tyrus. And this, who would be your Prince of Tyrus today? You're going to be surprised to learn that Obama is the Prince of Tyrus. Now, Obama is a Hebrew name for Lucifer. Okay. Now, I didn't invent it. The Hebrew language invented it. Barack Obama in the Hebrew means Satan, Lucifer. How art thou fallen from the heights? That's in Luke 10:18. And you might turn to that quickly and read it. It says that, and he said unto me, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from the heaven. Behold, I give unto you power to tread upon serpents and scorpions and over all power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. Okay, so it says that he saw Satan, beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. Okay, now, in Ezekiel 28, it says in verse 2, Son of man, I say unto the Prince of Tyrus. Now, Satan has never appeared, as far as we know, unto the Christian community in this world in a physical form. But we certainly know by the evil men of the earth that he is manifested through them, especially these evil leaders. So if you want to know what Satan is like, just look at his evil leaders, like Hitler, Mussolini, Stalin, or look at Abraham Lincoln. People are going to really cringe at that one. Go study the birth and life of Abraham Lincoln and the start go. You might be amazed at what you'll find out. For his memorial sits right there in Washington, D.C. He's in a temple. He's got a temple built around him. And Washington, D.C. only acknowledges those that have been exalted as gods. Gods of this world at one time. They only put them in temples. Think about it. Son of man, say unto the Prince of Tyrus, thus saith the Yahweh Elohim, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God. Now folks, you know very well, those of you who've been following the news and following Obama's legacy, that the world beholds him as the Savior of this world, especially the black community. I sit in the seat of the Yahweh, he says. He says, I sit in the seat in the midst of the seas, yet thou art a man and not Elohim, though thou sit thine heart as the heart of Elohim. Now over in Revelation 13:5, we have another place where a prophetic figure takes his seat, and it was given him by the dragon, Lucifer, Satan, the invisible one. It says, and there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things, And blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. Okay. And he opened his mouth in the blasphemy against Elohim, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in the heaven. Okay. So now it says that, and it was given unto him to make a war with the saints and to overcome them, and the power was given him over all the kindreds and nations, tongues and nations. Okay. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man hath an ear, let him hear. Let's just start with the first verse of Revelation 13. This is where we're at, folks. And in a string of time, it says, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea." Now this beast rising up out of the sea is your leopard-like beast right here. This leopard-like beast right here. This is your 5th beast in the order of these 4 beasts. This is your 5th beast. This is only the 2nd phase of this 4th beast. Okay, this leopard-like beast comes up out of the sea in about 1776 AD. Now, John beheld this. Now I looked upon, and I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet was as the feet of a bear, like this bear right here. And his mouth is the mouth of a lion, like this lion right here in Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, so he says, "And the beast which I saw like unto a leopard, 1, had feet like a bear. He had the mouth of a lion," that's the 3 parts, lion, bear, and the leopard body. And the dragon, but he also had the 10 horns, which describes his 4th beast over here. So he has the composite of these 4 beasts: lion, bear, leopard, and the nondescript beast. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Now, when is a dragon able to do this, to give him his power and his seat and great authority? Okay, it says that, "And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded unto death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast." Okay, now this beast right here develops into this beast over here. This is your 2-horned beast that comes after this 5th beast, John the Revelator saw. This 5th beast represents Mystery Babylon, that has advanced to the place where she's taken charge of all churches and all nations, represented by these 10 horns. Okay. Now, she comes up in the earth at the same time, about the same time as those 2-horned beast comes up, to represent the leadership and the rulership of this United States of America, with the 2-party system, with the 2 horns symbolization here on this little lamb-like beast, representing the Republican Democratic Party. So we notice those 2-horned beast represents the United States. And he has this headquarters at Washington, D.C. Okay. Now this little beast right here has the power to make an image, a scarlet colored beast, to this 4th beast over here. Okay. But when he came out of the sea in 1776, somebody had to give him, had the power to give him his seat and a great authority. Gave him power and his seat and great authority. Now folks, pay close attention. President of the United States today, he came up out of the sea. He came from Kenya, Africa. That's where he was born. Okay. He comes with no identity. He comes with no pedigree. Okay. So now, he comes, and somehow he's able to come into this land. You can't even identify him in any colleges that he's attended. Where he graduated, you can't identify him, except you can trace him back to the radical circles of communism and all these terrorist organizations that have come up. You can identify him as running among them after he got here to these shores. And he grew up among them. He has his home where he grew up was in Chicago. Chicago is the home base for the birth of communism in this country. About 1830. Chicago is a home where unions were born, which is nothing but a communist, a capitalistic situation. Chicago is a place where communism is born in this country. Everything, evil, to counter the government of the United States, counter the Constitution. That's the only place you can identify this person that came from across the seas and came in here, and all of a sudden he emerged one day, and he doesn't have to show any credentials, he doesn't have to be vetted and qualified to run for president. He has nothing to show where he was born, cannot prove it, can't prove anything about the man. But yet, he sits in the most powerful seat in the world. Okay. Now, that's the most powerful seat is the presidency of the United States. Now let's go read this again with this in mind. This is a contemporary prophecy laid down by John the Revelator to meet its fulfillment at its appointed time during the last days where it most appropriately fits. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet was like unto the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon, Lucifer, gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Now, it says, and I saw one of his heads, and he was wounded unto death. Well, we know that's what happened to the Catholic Church during the Dark Ages. Martin Luther, Catholic monk, came out of the Catholic Church in about 1500 AD with the doctrine of righteousness by faith in the blood of Yeshua, and he broke the back and the power of the Catholic Church to have power much longer over the saints of the world. Okay. So he lost his religious power, but he maintained his civil power. Okay. Until 1798, and then he lost that too. So the head was wounded. One of the 7 heads on this beast. In other words, when this beast came out of the sea, 1776, he came from the old country. He represents these 4 beasts here joined for him, which is mystery baptism. Catholic Church is in charge of it. We know the Catholic Church developed from this 4th beast right here, the 2nd phase, the 5th beast. And so it says right here, that this beast represents the Catholic Church, and all of a sudden the Catholic Church was in charge of the seven heads. Okay, now the seven heads, as we know, is found and recorded in Revelation chapter 2 and 3. So it says the seven heads are seven mountains. Mountains means churches. And the only seven churches that the Bible mentions by name is the seven churches of Asia Minor, which is called Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamos, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Rome. You'll find those recorded in Revelation chapter 2 and 3. So the Catholic Church, the beast, running contemporary all the way from this beast right here. As this beast started out with 10 horns, it's nondescript beast at the cross. He started out with 10 horns, look here. He emerged again with 10 horns, except he got crowns on the horns this time. In other words, the kingdoms of the world that he's in charge of back here didn't have their own kingdoms, but now they have their kingdoms. But he's still in charge of them, even though they have the independent kingdoms now, because they got their own parliamentary rules shown by these crowns on these horns. Okay. Now, the Catholic Church was wounded on one of these seven heads. Now, what was his head? What was the origin of this head? This head represented the apostolic congregation of our forefathers, the disciples. Whenever Rome captured this church, Ephesus, now here it represented the church of the apostles. Paul was the main minister and angel to that church. Okay, the 12th apostle. And now here the Catholic Church has captured this church and set up a counterfeit system to the Jewish worship system of the sanctuary. They set up a counterfeit system, 538 AD, right here, 538 AD, with this beast right here. And so now Martin Luther comes along and he wounds the head of the Catholic Church, meaning the Pope. So it's a mouthpiece for the church. So he was wounded, and we know he was taken prisoner in 1793 by the French government. And he died in prison in 1798, 99, whatever, showing the close of that 1260-year period. But the Catholic Church is in charge of all the churches, and I just named them to you. They're the churches of Asia Minor that has a candlestick. And I'm going to turn to those churches and show them to you. Here's those seven heads that the old leopard-like beast was in charge of. Ephesus, a golden candlestick representing Israel in the sanctuary service. That was set up by Moses as a type in the wilderness, the tabernacle worship. He was in charge of all of the churches of Israel when he came on the scene. Okay. Smyrna, Pergamos, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, Laodicea. These are those seven heads on this beast. These are the seven heads on him. Okay. Okay. Now remember, all Christendom evolved out of the seven churches that had the seven candlesticks of Israel. All Sunday-keeping world. They all have their origin in Israel, in the sanctuary service of Israel. They all have their origin from these seven heads, which represents the seven churches of Israel, seven churches of Asia Minor. They cannot trace their roots anywhere else. Baptist, Methodist, Church of Christ, Calvinist, Presbyterian, Lutheran, all of them, they trace their origin back right here, where they had their roots. These seven heads. Okay, the Catholic Church don't have any roots in Israel. Or does she? The Catholic Church had her roots in Israel too. That was with the Pharisees at the cross. Pharisees had a counterfeit system of worship that they had written their own private little Torah, added 613 more precepts and statutes to go with the law of Moses. And then when the Catholic Church came into power here in 538 AD, all they did was take their blueprint in a little book of the Pharisees and duplicate it and just turn it into a counterfeit system. So they had the origin. That's the reason why the Pope says he had the keys of Peter transferred to him. Peter represented the sanctuary service of the Pope says Peter transferred his keys to him because he set up the Jewish form of worship, except he just changed this method. They invented Catholic relics in the place of it. So now, what are we dealing with? We're dealing with the seven churches being identified as the seven churches of Israel. Now look at here. Here's these seven churches, these seven heads appear again. Seven mountains, seven churches of Israel. And also now Laodicea ends up being named this seventh church that belonged to the Catholic Church that had captured it from Ephesus, the first church of the seven. Laodicea, Seventh-day Adventist now, she's identified with no wound because this wound has been healed. Well, we know that the Catholic Church, with its emissaries, its Jesuit leadership, infiltrated the seventh church of Laodicea, Seventh-day Adventist by 1890, and by 1890 she had infiltrated the Adventist church and taken her over. So now, the Adventist church by that time agreed with the Pope that, and the president of the General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, because he was nothing but a Catholic Jesuit, taking over the Adventist church. So the Adventist body agreed not to proselyte anymore against the Catholic Church. So it took them 40 years then for that wound to heal on this beast. So this wound started healing when the Adventists joined the Catholics in 1890 and decided not to proselyte against the Catholic Church anymore. In other words, not to protest against her relics and dogmas and so forth. So Israel went into a 40-year fast in 1890-1930. Judah, for Judah, the lawgiver, had come out of Israel. So this here beast was quiet for 40 years, from 1890-1930. But this beast, by that time, had healed. 1929, closing out the 40-year period. Mussolini gave the Pope back his sovereign, his popeship, and declared the Vatican a state, a nation again. 77 acres of the Vatican, a state, a nation. So now the Vatican is a sovereign nation again. The wound has been healed because of one thing: they captured the seventh church, Laodicea, of Israel. The label fell on the Adventist Church in 1844. So this seventh head reappeared in 1844 in the form of Laodicea. And by 1930, the Seventh-day Adventist Church had healed the wound on this head that formerly represented the Catholic Church. 1930. Here it is. Now this woman, Mystery Babylon, she sits on top of these seven churches. We'll continue now with Revelation 13. And it says, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Who? This leopard-like beast. Now the next time that any power is personified after this leopard-like beast is this little two-horned beast. Revelation 13:3. Okay. Now it says that, and I saw one of his one of his heads. No, actually, Revelation 13:3 is right here, the leopard-like beast. It says, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded unto death, and his deadly wound was healed. Catholic Church captured the church of Ephesus, became the seventh head of these other six churches, and all the world wandered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. So they worshipped the dragon. And how they worshipped him, he had to have a visible form, in the form of a human being, on the scene, performing all these miracles and having complete power over the whole world. It had to be his visible leader today, sitting in the most powerful seat in the world, the presidency of the United States. All right, let's go. And they worship the beast. Okay, so now the beast is the governmental system that this false prophet sits upon the seat of. Okay. Now it says, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? Who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things. Who was the mouth? Well, right here. Mystery Babylon. Who was the mouth on the papacy back during the Dark Ages? A little hornet came up with a mouth speaking great things, representing the Pope, speaking for this beast. A new world order back then. A new world order, but he doesn't have a mouthpiece speaking for him. The two-horned beast don't have no mouthpiece speaking for him. But this woman right here has got a mouth. And all of a sudden, she's speaking. So where are we at in the stream of time? We're right here. Well, this mouthpiece is speaking here in Revelation 13:5. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things, and blasphemers, and power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. 40 and 2 months after he came into power? Well, no, it says to continue 40 and 2 months. Well, he had power to reign before that. Otherwise, you couldn't say he had power to continue 40 and 2 months. Gave him additional power to continue 40 and 2 months. Okay, you have two elections set up, 2 terms of office for the presidency of the United States. Okay, so now he serves out his first term, and then he gets reelected, if he can, a second term. Okay, but it just so happened that the elections have been rigged in this country for a long time. And the old dragon, he sits up whomever he will in his power, the seat of the power of the United States government. And he seats up whom he will and gives power to him. Well, we know that the election process, being straight and honest, Obama would not have been re-elected. I mean, just about 90% of all Americans are against him. That's enough right there to cause him from being re-elected. He shouldn't have been elected the first time by the legal process, had everyone been following the legal process. Matter of fact, he wouldn't have been even granted citizenship here in the United States. If everybody that's in power of government here in the United States had been upholding the Constitution, they would have given him a transfer out of this country when he first came here, and not even allowed him to come in here and be a citizen. But we know that that was overruled because the powers that be, it's predestined by prophecy to work out this way. So we know that for as long as this person needs to exist to rule in this seat of authority, it will happen. Okay. So it says, and he opened his mouth and blasphemed against Elohim. He. All right, let's go get it right now. Let's go get this here beast and the false prophet. Beast, two-horned beast, United States government, false prophet, right here, thrown into a lake of fire, Revelation 19:20. Okay, and he opened his mouth. Who? This false prophet that's controlling this beast that represents the United States government. And he opened his mouth and blasphemed against Elohim, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in the heaven. And is given unto him to make war. Okay, now here's this beast and the false prophet right here. This little lamb-like beast represents the United States government. From 1776 until when? Well, this little two-horned beast is making an image to that fourth beast, so that little two-horned beast is on the scene right now with this false prophet, commanding him, leading him, standing on the ground, walking along beside him. So, this little fellow makes an image to this beast over here, and I'll quickly show you. Makes an image to the beast right here. So this little fellow right here, that little false prophet, makes an image to what beast? This little beast here that represented this beast. So he makes an image right here of one that looked like this one right here. No, he don't make an image to himself. He represents a local government of the earth, the United States government. Whereas this beast is universal. He represents all the governments of the world. So this little two-horned beast, that's the deadly wound is healed on this beast. He makes this beast as an image to this beast. Okay. And then he's cast into a lake of fire, burning with brimstone. After he does all that good stuff for the beast, and look what happened. He transferred from the false prophet on the little two-horned beast, the United States government, to this mystery Babylon on the back of this beast. Okay. Now, here's actually this woman represents the Jesuit Pope that is the most powerful man on earth that rules this beast now. The prophet is second in command to this here woman, the false prophet. The false prophet stays behind and rules the government of the United States, while this woman, the new Jesuit Pope Francis, takes command of this here beast the Catholic Church is the inventors of, because the Catholic Church has the charge of all the churches, the seven heads. They have charge of all the horns, represents all the nations, and the wound is healed, showing that the Catholic Church now, the wound is healed, so the Catholic Church transfers back into this here spokesman for the beast again. Okay, now when it comes time to judge the great whore, she, the beast that represents the one world order, the government of the world, sponsored by the Catholic Church, Satan given his power, and the Pope the leadership of this beast, and all the hierarchy of the papacy is the 10 horns that was on this beast. Turn on her and eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So here we have the woman right here, and the beast being burned with fire by these 10 horns. These nations had lent their power to the beast for 1 hour. She betrayed them, as well as the whole world. So those 10 horns, since they were connected to this beast, and right there right there in her bosom, she turned on her and ate her flesh and burned with fire, destroyed her. And then it says, then after that, in Revelation 19:20, it says, the little 2-horn beast, that represents the United States government, he gets his destruction second. Notice that. Scarlet-colored beast gets her destruction first. This is the scarlet-colored. Okay. She gets her destruction first. The United States, false prophet, gets his destruction next. Revelation 19:20. Okay. You'll find in Revelation 17:16 the destruction of this beast and the false prophet. I mean, this beast and the woman, which is a false prophetess. But she says that she is a wife of her husband, and she sits as no widow. Well, her husband is Lucifer. Okay. So she's not a widow. Her husband is Lucifer. Okay. So now, here's the destruction right here of the symbolization of Lucifer and the beast. Okay. Now it says in Revelation 13, it says that, verse 7, and it is given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. Now, notice it is given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power is given unto him over all the kindreds and tongues and nations. Now, folks, fasten your seatbelt on this one. We know Obama, the President of the United States, he backs up the Muslim Brotherhood in the Middle East. And number one, the Muslim Brotherhood hates all Christians of every nation, every denomination, especially of their own brethren. We've always seen it on videos where if they capture one of their Christian brothers that have betrayed the faith that they say of the Muslims, they cut their heads off. They're very big on cutting off their brother's head, if they even identify with the Christian world. If they say that they believe in Jesus Christ, Lord and God, and they believe in the Holy Spirit that comes from them, then off goes their head if they can capture them. Well, the Sharia law says that as soon as they come into power here in the United States, they're going to install the Sharia law over the Constitution. They're going to start lopping off everybody's head that won't line up with their beliefs of the Quran, they call it. So, it says that power was given unto him. Well, if this him represents the President of the United States, which it does, okay, and to make war with the saints, what's saints? There's a remnant in all nations. You have a prophecy in Micah 5, verse 7, 5, 6, and 7, and 8. So there's a remnant among all people of the earth, meaning that they're saints. Well, that's what he's after, those remnant, those saints in all nations, of all people. It says to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And he's overcoming them quite a bit. And power is given unto him over all the kindreds and tongues and nations. And don't that fit the description of what's going on now today with the most powerful man on this world, in this world. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him. So he's going to force all that dwell upon the earth to worship him, whose names are not written in the book of the life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Now do you understand why the time has to come for the book of the seventh seal to be opened in Revelation 8? You understand now why in Revelation 5 we have the judgment of the living, and we have a description, a visual in our minds, pictorial description. Okay. It says in Revelation 5, and I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne, and of the four beasts, and in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb as it had been slain, having 7 heads, 7 horns, and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of Elohim, sent forth into all the earth. And he came and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne, and when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and 24 elders fell down before the book, before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials for the odors, which are the prayers of the saints. Now what was this book that this Lamb took out of the right hand of the Father, that sat upon the throne in the judgment seat in the most holy place? What was that book? It was the book of 7 seals. And matter of fact, this Revelation 13 that we're reading to you from is found in the book of the 7th seal. So you're reading contents that's in the book of the 7th seal. Right now, you're hearing it. Everything from Revelation 8 through Revelation 22 is found written in the book of the 7th seal. Okay? You have the judgment scene. I just read it to you. Okay. And it says in Revelation 13:11, it says, I beheld, Revelation 13:10, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Okay. I was saying, it says, and I beheld another beast come up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns, like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Okay, now, where is this beast at? Right here. The little 2-horned beast represents the United States government. First, this leopard-like beast came out of the sea. And he came from the old country. But this little 2-horned beast came up in the earth, the United States, here in the wilderness of people. And now, he says he had 2 horns, like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So, this dragon is Lucifer, and he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast. That's the cross, the nondescript beast, the 4th one that Daniel saw in vision from Nebuchadnezzar, whose deadly wound is healed, and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of the men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying unto them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. Alright, the Catholic Church, represented by this nondescript beast here, the 5th one. Second page of the 4th beast, Catholic Church, 1798. Okay. And and he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying, unto them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had their wound by a sword and did live. Now it goes on to say here in Revelation 13:15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. And his number is 666. Well, 600 times 10 is 6,000, which takes us back to the Garden of Eden, where our first parents sinned and were cast out of the Garden of Eden. His first 6 was put upon Cain, their firstborn son. He had a mark put on him. You will read about that in Genesis chapter 4, I believe. He already put the first mark on him. He put the 6 on him. Alright? Your second 6 was right here. The United States government. Because it's the 5th beast in the order of these here. It's the 6th beast in the order of these beasts right here. Lion, bear, leopard, nondescript beast. Leopard-like beast is your 5th one. Little 2-horned beast is your 6th one. United States government. And the false prophet that commands her has the 3rd 6. Garden of Eden, sin, Cain, the first seed of Satan, receives a mark and a curse for killing his brother Abel. He receives the first 6. The little 2-horned beast, the United States government, receives the second 6. And the false prophet that commands this little beast receives the 3rd 6. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number 666. So it's the number of a man. Cain had the first number, 6. Okay. And you can say, if it's the number of a man, you could say Obama has a 6. You could say that the Pope John has a 6. Okay, the little 2-horned beast is just a governmental system. But it's the number of man. So who runs this governmental system here of the little 2-horned beast? The Catholic Church. And who's the spokesman for it? The Pope. So it's the number of man. Beast of false prophet. 6, Cain. 6, Obama. 6, the Pope. 666. Okay, the Pope is represented by this woman here. Simply put, let's just say that the most powerful governmental system on earth has been since that 4th beast started up in 31 AD at the cross, representing pagan Rome. Pagan Rome has changed her many colors through the centuries, but she hadn't changed her mode of operation, and that's infiltrate the powers of governments and to continue on mystery Babylon through them. The little 2-horned beast represents the United States government. The false prophet represents its president. Whoever the president is at the time that this beast is in power, that's your false prophet. Okay, so we know that this beast comes to his end, but he comes to his end here. I would think that he would come to his end before this beast turned a woman. But as it's portrayed here, inspiration showed Viti harder for the woman, and this beast was destroyed first by these 10 horns. And then apparently the 10 horns had the power then to go get this little false prophet and the United States government and cast them into a lake of fire. If the 10 horns on this beast had the power to turn on her and eat her flesh and burn her with fire, then they had that same power then to take the beast and the false prophet and go cast them into a lake of fire. So apparently the 10 horns survived, representing all the nations of the world, meaning that they had been converted to the kingdom, everlasting kingdom. And now that all their evil powers have been destroyed on the world by these 10 horns, then they come and join the everlasting kingdom. Because it says here in the prophecy of Zechariah 14, that after all that's over with, those that don't come to keep the Feast of Tabernacles, on them will be no rain. It said, if all the families of Egypt come not up, this will be the plague. So that all that are left after this has all been destroyed are going to be commanded to come to Jerusalem now to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. This brings to close our study this hour. You can contact us at the 11th hour call. We're going to close this study now with a song. Who at my door is standing, words by the B.C. Slade. Who at my door is standing, patiently drawing near, interest within demanding, whose is the voice I hear? Sweetly the tones are falling, open the door for me. If thou wilt heed my calling, I will abide with thee. All through the dark hours dreary, knocking again is he. Yahshua, art thou not weary, waiting so long for me? Sweetly the tones are falling, open the door for me. If thou wilt heed my calling, I will abide with thee. Door of my heart I hasten, thee will I open wide. Though he rebuke and chasten, he shall with me abide. Sweetly the tones are falling, open the door for me. If thou wilt heed my calling, I will abide with thee.